welcome to another edition of Equity Guru's Investor Roundtable, where we sit around a table. We have three of us today. You can see Chris is frozen up above me in perfect harmony. Beside me, however, is Prit Singh from, Plurilock, the company we're going to discuss today. He is the Vice President of Investor Relations. Plurilock trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange, or TSX Venture Exchange, under the symbol PLUR. It's a company that's involved in cybersecurity. And, rather than me babbling on about it, why don't we just let Prit give us the lowdown on what Plurilock is and why we should be paying attention.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. As you mentioned, we trade on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker PLUR. Alternatively, we also trade on the OTCQB under the ticker PLCKF. And you said it, we're a cybersecurity consolidator, meaning we went public a little over 2 years ago, September 2020, with the sole purpose of consolidating smaller vendors, VARs, managed security services companies, effectively companies with lots of customers, so Fortune 500 and Rolodex of customers that we could take and cross-sell our own proprietary solution into. So Plurilock as a whole has a piece of technology that relies on AI and AI and machine learning. And what it does is it actually detects users based on their behavioral biometrics. So behavioral biometrics is a really fancy term for really human behavior. So the technology itself, what it does is when you type on your keyboard, you or me, we have a unique rhythm, cadence, and the way we type, and believe it or not, we all do it differently. And it detects our keystrokes and determines if we are in fact who we are. So if you really think about it, you could be sitting on your laptop at home, especially we saw this a lot in the COVID economy, whereby everyone was working at home, and you may go get a coffee and I would show up and start typing in your keyboard. This technology is able to detect that it's not you and able to boot you out of your system. So it constantly is learning. So it uses the machine learning algorithm to learn about you every 2 to 3 seconds. So over time, 1, 2, 3, 4 days, you can imagine that your profile is quite strong compared to what it was initially. And it makes it even more impactful and allows effectively that barrier to be even stronger to make sure that no one is in fact logging onto your system and that you can be able to detect it. So we have this phenomenal technology, and the thought was, and the premise was that we would sell this through the channel of companies that we are buying, because again, they have lots of end customers, and that's been effectively the strategy to date. We've done 4 acquisitions to date, ranging from Canada and the US, and the idea is we'll continue to do more and continue to cross-sell our own solution.
Prit, do you think you can tell us a bit about some of these, you guys have been always bringing out great press releases with some of these contracts with, I think it was the US Air Force and US financial institutions and a credit union. Can you tell us a bit about that and the momentum Plurilock is riding?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're seeing recently with a lot of these press releases and all of these contract wins is kind of the fruits of our labor, where we went public with that tech that I described, the behavioral biometrics technology, which, by the way, we were already selling to the U.S. Army and a select number of enterprise and government clients. And we went on this acquisition spree and have bought 4 companies to date. And a lot of these contract wins you're seeing are part of that cross-sell strategy. So it's a bit of a land and expand. You get you acquire the company with 500 customers, and then you take your software solution and you start to try and sell it to those 500 customers. There's a bit of a sales cycle. It usually takes 12 to 18 months. But you're seeing that timing work out beautifully right now, because over the last few weeks, all you've seen are contract wins. And those are actually from customers that we acquired through those acquisitions.
It's very interesting. The whole concept is very apropos and relevant. We live in a world where there are so many passwords. I actually have to have a program now to keep track of them in order to be truly secure, right? Rather than just using that 1 or 2 password, then somebody compromises that and suddenly everything you have is open to the world. So it's becoming untenable in that regard. So with Plurilock, this wonderful thing is that I don't have to remember my passwords. All I have to do is be me. once
Yeah.
the system understands who I am and I step in, it not only guards the gate when I log on, but it's also monitoring me throughout, making sure that, George hasn't slipped into my seat and started to, put in malware into the company network, right? So it's a really awesome system. And so the company, what really impressed me is that when it started, it was a great idea. And there's companies out there that, come out of the gate and it's just like, awesome, that's so fantastic. And then you go, what happened to the execution? But it seems that Plurilock is really sort of stepping in and getting big subscribers, not just Joe Schmo network for his butcher shop. You guys are getting big government agencies, if I'm not incorrect, and large organizations are trusting the fact that your guys' and this is truly AI, that your guys' AI is working in the background to make sure that their network is safe without hassling their employees. Because up until now, biometrics was the idea of, let's say, an eye scan or a fingerprint scan, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of a pain in the ass, has a lot of peripherals, and not easy to install, and you got to put it into the system. Your guys' system is pretty well plug and play from what I understand, correct?
It's plug and play, and you don't even notice it happening when you're working. You're just typing, and we are learning more and more about your rhythm, your strokes, and specifically who you are as a user. So as I mentioned, it takes every few seconds. We are learning about you, and over time, I think call it a week, 2 weeks, that profile is quite strong. So there is next to no really possibility of someone actually logging on and your system not detecting them as fraud.
Now, Plurilock, what is your primary market right now? Where are you guys servicing your product or offering your products? Well, not offering, but where are you now got your foot in the door? Are we talking the United States or both North America in general? Where are you guys at this moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when we went public, we were predominantly the U.S. Based. We dealt with the state, federal governments, and we had some customers like the U.S. Army, U.S. Department of Defense. Since going public over the last 2 years, we've made multiple acquisitions. Predominantly, they've been in the U.S., but there's also been one in Canada. So we have a presence now with the federal government as well. We have some customers in Ottawa, Ontario. But beyond that, we bought a piece of technology in the summer. It's a company called Cloud Codes, which actually that's an Indian company. So when you look at Plurilock as a whole, it started off as an American company, but now it's very much, in a lot of ways, a global entity where we have staff in India, we have customers in India. In fact, some of these press release wins you've seen recently are actually customers that came out of India. We have a big presence in the US, and we have a growing presence in Canada. And the idea would be, when we continue to do acquisitions, that we're looking pretty broad geographically. Could happen in Europe as well.
That's exciting. That really is exciting. Yeah. Now, the thing is, I want to sort of hit on again, you've already discussed it, and we've just talked about it, but what's really neat is it's not just your leading edge platform, cybersecurity platform. You guys are now aggregating technology to add to that and increase your market share and footprint and applicability, I guess you could say, in today's world. This is something that's going to continue, correct? Or are you guys going to hit a point and say, oh, I think we're enough right now. We're just going to start moving ahead with what we have.
Right now, we see a big opportunity in cybersecurity. It's not only as a topical, but from a standpoint of just market share and a growing market share, it's something you hear about every day. There's lots of large players in the industry. There's lots of small players in the industry. We have not seen a lot of consolidation, and it very much is still a kind of catch and grab model whereby you can still go out there and be quite aggressive on acquiring customers, whether it's through acquisitions or organic. And so our mandate since going public has always been we want to grow very quickly, and one of the best ways to do that is through acquisition. So we don't really see any reason to slow down right now, especially with cybercrime on the rise. In fact, I think we want to put the gas on the pedal. Market dynamics aside, I think there's a big opportunity for us to be a big player in the Canadian cybersecurity market.
Now, it's not just that you guys have started this company, thrown up your shingle, and went, okay, we're ready to go. We've got some accountants who are really good at M&A, and we're just going to roll right along. These people that are involved, Ian L. Patterson, who is the CEO of the company, all of these guys are industry veterans and experts. So this is lending to the validity, I think, and legitimacy of your offerings. And I think that's why you guys are getting so much notice by these big organizations and governmental agencies.
It's well, absolutely true. And, Ian himself, brings a great background in enterprise sales and cyber and AI. That's functionally what he's done in his life, which is scale sales organizations. But beyond Ian, if you take a look at the board Plurilock has assembled, it's, it looks like a Fortune 500 board in a lot of ways. You have two vice admirals that have both worked at the highest level of security within the U.S. One of which was actually the director of the NSA, sits on the board. Actually, he's the chairman of Booz Allen Hamilton. And then you have a couple of other veterans that have worked at companies like Raytheon and have actually sold cybersecurity companies. So I would say 80% plus of our board is actually in the industry. They've sold companies, they've operated companies, or they consult in the cyber industry. And you would have a very difficult time finding that credibility on any board, frankly, but specifically within this size of company that Plurilock is.
Yeah, that's what really it gets me going about Plurilock is the depth of experience within the management team and the board, and also the fact that you guys are making money. You're actually creating revenue and generating it. It's not just an idea anymore. You're actually making sales, signing contracts, bringing in new customers. So this is a real interesting growth story. Now, Vishal, just on your end, Vishal is our technical expert at EQUITY.GURU. How's your feeling about Plurilock, and where do you think the charts are right now?
Right, yeah. So you guys know I'm more technical based. I like to look for these sort of patterns. And obviously, when you have good technicals, sometimes it's just that fundamental catalyst, right? Which will confirm our breakout, brings in that volume and gets, I guess, investors, traders, and even the algos, all watching the stock. So in early February, I wrote this article about cybersecurity and Plurilock. I talked about the mega trends, which are AI, and also cybersecurity, which I believe right now is maybe not as popular as it once was. Like, what the retail crowd, obviously the institutional crowd is big into cybersecurity. We've talked about the fundamentals here about ensuring security of enterprise networks as more companies are now, changing their workspace after COVID, seeing people working rather at the office, but working remotely from home, and that whole digital evolution that happened overnight. There's also, of course, the governments, right? I guess, if you look at geopolitics right now, we just heard that this year the U.S. Put aside around $800 billion for defense spending in 2023, and a lot of that is also going to be going into cybersecurity. So I was interested to just take a look at cybersecurity plays in general. I looked at some of the big companies in the U.S. like Palo Alto, Datadog, F5. Over here, I have a couple of charts of the ETFs. Oh, and it looks like something went wrong with my chart there, but I had some ETFs here of cyber, hack, and bug. And you guys can notice here, of course, the YouTube viewers here, you'll see that we have quite the popular inverse or reversal pattern known as a head and shoulder. And I know a lot of people in the marketplace are talking about this. If we scroll back, you'll see, cybersecurity had this big pop in 2020. Also, post-pandemic, we had a bit of a topping pattern, and then we basically went into this downtrend. And a lot of you guys know I like to look for these setups where after a downtrend, you have a bit of a range pattern, which essentially says that selling has exhausted, right? And now we are looking for a new trend reversal because markets, don't just go in a downtrend forever. They don't go in an uptrend forever. They move in these cycles. And, as a technical analyst, I look for these cycles and I look for when one trend is about to finish and we're about to see the beginning of a new trend. And I'm seeing this with the cybersecurity plays, right? A lot of these ETFs and those big US stocks that I mentioned are showing signs of reversal. In fact, some of them have already triggered. And I told this to our readers about the technicals I was seeing on Plurilock on February 7th, right? I said, hey, if you guys take a look at the chart here, we have a we have so many positive confluences. So obviously, from a technicals perspective, it's all about a business of probabilities, looking for all these confluences, putting it together. And then when you have these great technicals and then you have, the fundamentals that are coming out, it just it's a winning combination. So right here, I have the daily chart of Plurilock. You can see here we broke above a downtrend line. We had a double bottom reversal pattern, which is a pattern that looks like a W, and it's one of these patterns that tons of reversal traders and investors look for. Not only that, but we actually confirmed or triggered that reversal pattern with a breakout above the 16-cent zone and what day is that? On February 9th. And on that day, we did see a press release come out from Plurilock, which saw about, I think, 580,000 shares traded. So pretty large volume. That is what you want to see when you have a technical breakout. So I noted that to our members. I noted that to our readers that, hey, have that breakout now confirmed, a breakout we mentioned in early February. And everything is triggered for more upside, in my opinion, right? When you look at the technicals, all these criteria have been met. As long as we remain above 16 cents, the uptrend is in play. You can see here, I have sort of drawn out I guess, the trajectory that I want to see. And again, doesn't mean it's going to happen here, but generally you do see a pullback. Obviously, we've had, since the article has come out, we've had up to recent highs a 43% move on the stock. So there will be some people taking profits, perhaps. There might be a bit of a pullback here, which might see us come back to retest that 16 to 17 cent zone, which is completely normal. It's just the way that breakouts happen, or breakouts, it's just the way that they move. You tend to see that pullback. You tend to see buyers step in again, and it gives them a second opportunity to jump into the move, which gives us our first technical term is a higher low and a higher high in this new uptrend. So you can see here that the next target zone, or first target zone to the upside that we are watching now, is going to be that 25 to 26 cent zone, which was a resistance zone here in the past. But to me, Galen, I mean, you have all these criteria that have been met. The bottoming is in. You have that breakout, and you're also seeing reversals in the entire cybersecurity sector as a whole in general. So, I think when you combine these type of technicals with all the exciting press releases that Plurilock has been releasing, very strong start of the year as well for the company. I think you have more upside here, and that's exactly what the technicals are showing me.
That's quite an interesting viewpoint, and it really it puts it forward and lays it out. And I think they are preparing for that, absolutely. I like the news that keeps coming out of this company. I mean, in the first 9 months leading up to September, the end of September of last year, the company brought in $46.8 million worth of revenue, and that was like a 96% increase year over year. This is good movement, and we've had nothing but, like, hey, there's new contracts at the beginning of this year. Like nearly every press release is like, we got something else. Here we go. We're moving on again. We got more people in the door. So I'm really excited about this. As I said, it's a great idea, and I think the momentum is finally here. We're starting to see the rubber hitting the road, both business-wise, operationally speaking, and also with market sentiment. People beginning to go like, holy shit, what are these guys doing? This is awesome, right? So this is the portion of the program where we've been given 7,500. I'm being cheap. 7,500 EG bucks to spend on our favorite stock. Tell you how much we would or would not put on, when we would put it on. Now, Prit, I understand that you are involved with the company, so you may feel somewhat conflicted in being posed that question. So if you don't feel like joining in, no worries. I know that myself and Vishal will give our 2 bits, and Chris, of course, will throw in his 2 cents worth as well via me. So, all right. We're at $7,500. The way things are going right now, I think we've reached a range that's pretty stable. So if I'm getting in now, I'm not going to see much deviation until the stock really starts to climb. So quite honestly, and I'm not just doing this because you're here, Prit, I'm actually kind of effusive about this company. I've really been excited about it since the first day that we found out about it and started working with you guys. So I'm dropping 7,500. Look at me go. I'm all excited right, left, and center. So here we are. I'm going to do that right now. Hold on, take this off. I'm going to find out which is me. There's me. And there it is, 75 down on the table. Get me some stock, please. How about you, Vishal? What are you going to do?
I'm all in as well, Galen. And, based on the criteria that I see here that's been met on the technicals and the strong fundamentals, and I just think what I'm seeing in the cybersecurity sector as a whole and the bottoming there as well, I think this is that bottom. And I think a new uptrend is beginning in Plurilock and the sector as a whole. So I'm going all in.
Perfect. And I know Chris is really excited about the company as well, even though because I got the hand here, I can just tell him whatever he's going to do. But I'm pretty sure he's going to drop the 7,500 as well. So that's like a trifecta there, a full pull, full meal deal. We're all excited. We're all in. This has been a great show. I mean, I really thank you very much, Prit, for showing up. It's been really interesting and fun to talk about Plurilock. And again, this is CEO is Ian L. Patterson. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol PLUR. And what was the OTC again?
The OTCQB, it's PLCKF.
There we go. So you keep those in mind. Keep it on your radar. Now, remember, we do give our opinion, but we are not licensed professionals. So please do your own due diligence. Find yourself a registered financial professional and discuss it with them before you make any investment decisions. We're just really excited, and yeah, that's about it. So that wraps it up for this edition of Investor Roundtable for Equity Guru. Thanks again to Prit Singh, the VP of Investor Relations for Plurilock, for showing up. Thank you, Prit. It was awesome to have you here. We'll see you
my pleasure.
next week. Absolutely. And you guys take care. Here we go. I'm going to bounce this out of here. See you later.